week, tougher than the M11 pulling power goes for an icy blast across the world's most demanding terrain in two brand new Volvos. James Allen hits the rough stuff as he tries to follow in the tracks of a Midlands biking legend. And the great LPG swindle, how Red Ken's traffic tax could still clean you out.
Well, it's the big one. It's C Day. That's C for very chilly, C for congestion, but most important of all, if you're Ken Livingstone, C for charging. Every one of the cars that are coming into London you see here are now paying a £5 for the privilege. Same for those going that way as well. And if you're sitting there giggling to yourself, thinking, this doesn't affect me, I'm outside London, well, let me tell you, this could well be coming your way. Who's next? Birmingham, Nottingham, Leicester. This isn't a London problem, this is a Britain problem.
You don't mind a little pain.
So let's get to the facts. The zone covers 8 square miles of central London, and from today, travelling within that zone between 7 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. on weekdays will cost you a £5. No arguments and very few exceptions. If you pay up, you could be £1,200 a year worse off. If you don't, it could cost you your car and a very hefty fine.
Well, how do you pay your £5 a day charge? Variety of methods, all of them pretty complicated. Best thing to do is check out our website on that one, but I should warn you, some people have been billed for driving in the central London area even before the congestion charge system started, believe it or not. Let me also tell you, just around the corner there are some people standing in shop doorways at bus stops, employed by the authorities in London to write down the numbers of people's registration plates using very chewed biros. It's all very low tech. The term itself, congestion charging, well, who are they trying to kid? It's not a charge, it's a tax. It's a further tax on the already overtaxed motorist.
Well, it's not a tax. There is an alternative. There is a very sound public transport system in central London compared to just about any other city in the country.
Oh, please.
What worries us about congestion charging is, in a nutshell, it's a cart before the horse. We're hammering the motorist before we've actually got a viable alternative by way of improving public transport.
My theory is this. Ken Livingstone doesn't want us to leave our cars at home. We're playing right into his hands by bringing our cars in because he wants that £5 a day. That's the whole point of congestion charging. The mayor wants your money.
We're not interested in actually raising money. It is really about reducing traffic congestion.
Well, I don't believe that for a second, and I don't believe this cynical mobility tax is going to solve London's colossal transport problems. All it'll do is make the everyday journeys of ordinary travellers more difficult and more expensive.
So imagine it. You're a parent. You want the best for your kid, obviously, and it just so happens that the best school for your child is maybe 5 miles away on the other side of the town. So you drive your child to school, and what happens? You'll now be hit with a £25 a week charge. It just ain't right, is it? And of course, if you need to go to your local hospital, and that hospital happens to be a hospital like St Thomas's up the road here, inside the congestion tax zone, well, you'll pay to drive to that hospital. You'll pay that £5. On the other hand, if you call an ambulance who comes out to you and takes you in, you'll avoid the £5 charge. The ambulance service is worried about the increased demand on its services. Yet another problem created out of nowhere by this madcap congestion tax system. You couldn't make this up, I tell you. Well, more on congestion charging later, but I suppose I shouldn't be complaining too much because I'm pretty warm and comfortable in here, and could be an awful lot worse.
At the slightest hint of a freeze-up in the UK, it's stick the car away and jump onto a train. That's provided you're determined to travel. But you'd think here in Sweden, at 8:30 in the morning, believe it or not, and minus 30 degrees C, that you'd get around by dog sleigh. But no, you'd be wrong. They jump in their Volvos and drive. Regular Pulling Power viewers will already know we've road-tested Volvo's new XC90 in the hills around Geneva. This 7-seater 30k soft roader is about to make its UK winter debut where we measure snowfall in centimetres. But how does it perform as a real 4x4? Where better to test it than its own backyard, where they measure the snowfall in metres.
Now here we are, driving along in a very relaxed sort of way, in conditions which, to be quite frank with you, I think we'd have tractors out in the UK. We might even need a pickup truck for the tractors, actually.
Now these are B roads, which in Sweden must mean B for bonkers if you're driving anything less than one of these.
Okay, this is pretty rough. Worse than we get in the UK, of course, but this is a Volvo. I mean, this is Sweden, this is where they're made, this is what they should be able to handle. I think we need something a bit more challenging. Right now we're on water, we're on the sea. I've never ever driven on the sea before. And you can go as fast as you like, because if you come off, well, there's nowhere to go. This is a school run to die for.
We've had to stop filming for a while because there's a blizzard blowing, and believe you me, it's absolutely terrible. We've just been stopped for an hour. I can't even open this. It's absolutely frozen solid. And look at this. In here, we've got a bottle of water. Pure ice, pure ice. At times, the weather this close to the Arctic has a reputation for being dangerously unstable, a charge that's also been levelled at some SUVs.
Well, Volvo reckon they've got it sussed with this particular car, and they've got something called a rollover protection system. I think we should give this a try.
Seems unflappable. Time to raise the stakes. Thanks for the lift, mate. Right, so we've seen that the XC90 can handle fairly rough road conditions, but now there are no roads. This is extreme. This is Eskimo land. What we need for these conditions is something like this, with this kind of grip with the chains on it. Surely no one would consider driving here, would they?
This would make a fantastic ski slope. You know, this chap who just gave me the lift in the tractor says, we love these conditions, see? We love this weather. Oh God, this is pretty steep. Now, can you imagine if this was England? We were trying to get to work in these conditions. I mean, we wouldn't stand a chance, would we? Well, up we go. Are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? Come on, please, please, please. Goodness me, did it? Wow. I mean, I have to say that this vehicle feels so competent. It's in its natural environment. I guess it's laughing its head off when it goes to Britain. When the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Now, Pulling Power's favourite 4x4s range from BMW's Lifestyle X5 to Solihull's finest. It seems like the XC90's successfully muscled into the lineup. Or has it?
You're not going to believe this, but it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And there we were, making our way off the Baltic Sea, trying to keep to the straight and narrow, went slightly off the course into a bit of soft snow, and now we're not going anywhere. I want to go home.
Now, at this point, like me, you might be having second thoughts about this SUV's winter weather abilities. But think again. Just take a close look at the vehicle that's rescuing us, and you'll see it's another XC90. Round of applause.
Well, Kevin has another crack at the ice later. Back here in London, well, things aren't quite so dramatic. But at least there is one consolation. This Volvo is an S40 biofuel LPG, which means, of course, I shouldn't have to pay congestion charges, right? wrong. Why? Well, the emissions from this bi-fueled car are not deemed clean enough for this model to escape the charge, even though bigger and less green models from the same manufacturer are. Confused? Well, so are we. In fact, the only way to be sure of avoiding congestion charging on environmental grounds is to drive an electric vehicle. But then Ford have recently abandoned the introduction of their Think car, which would have been the only mass-produced one on sale in the UK. That leaves hybrid cars like the Toyota Prius that are equally rare. Then there's LPG. At roughly half the price of petrol, this fuel is cheaper, widely available and greener. But there's a catch. To meet the exemption criteria for LPG, your car will have to be one of the cleanest on the road and have emission levels that meet the highest possible standards. The problem is not all LPG cars are exempt. In fact, it's very easy to get caught out.
I'm worried that an awful lot of people are assuming that having bought a LPG vehicle, they're going to be in for a rude awakening, because the simple truth is they're not all exempt.
In our experience, we found that the vast majority of people that contact us assume that if they have their vehicle converted to LPG by anybody, it will be exempt from the London congestion charge. Sadly, that's not the case. The vehicle needs to be a level 4 PowerShift vehicle converted by an LPGA approved converter and endorsed by PowerShift.
I told you it was complicated. PowerShift is a government-funded organisation that promotes alternative fuels and gives grants for conversions. But to qualify, the conversion must meet the standards and emission levels set by PowerShift. The cleanest cars are in Band 4 of the PowerShift register, and only cars in Band 4 are exempt from the congestion charges.
What we've tried to do is to ensure that there are clean, truly clean vehicles, and that's why we've linked it through to the standards which are used in the industry, and we tried to make it as clear as possible.
But it isn't clear, which plays right into the hands of garages out to make a fast buck.
I have heard of instances of unscrupulous dealers claiming the equipment they are going to supply and fit to that customer's vehicle will be exempt, and unfortunately they're going to find out the hard way.
Even if, unlike me, your car is one of the few exempt at the moment, there are no guarantees it'll stay that way. Transport for London reserve the right to make the criteria even tougher. But is this to make sure the manufacturers strive for cleaner engines, or to make sure as many of us as possible pay the congestion charge?
The aim is to reduce traffic in central London by 10 to 15% and make it like school holiday levels of traffic. If we find that everyone converts to LPG, we haven't achieved the congestion reductions.
To find out whether converting your car to LPG will make you exempt, you need to refer to PowerShift's website. But good luck trying to find your car listed, as exemptions appear to be very few and far between. In a moment, our exclusive drive in Sweden's answer to the Audi A4 Quattro, plus off-roading of a very different kind with a man who's old enough to know better.
Freezing temperatures and zero grip might be the best place to test a 4x4, but not a 300 brake horsepower turbocharged family saloon. But hey, guess what? We're pulling power and we like a challenge.
Now this is a pulling power exclusive. Volvo's S60R isn't even in production yet, but when it does come to the UK later this year, the adrenaline kick will cost you 34k.
Now don't forget, we are driving a 300 brake horsepower car. This car is capable of 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds. Okay, most of us are going to be driving in much better conditions than this, but hey, guess what? I've had my own little racetrack carved out for us on the Baltic Sea.
Now we're struggling to find grip on pure ice.
Flooring the throttle, into second, into third. Very tight bend here, sliding its way through, applying power where it's needed, lifting off where it's needed. It's taking over as if to say, you know, you're a rally driver, you can hack it, you can hack it. course you're not.
So why is the car so forgiving? Well, under the bonnet, there's enough computing power to get you to Mars and back. Link that to Volvo's all-wheel drive system, and you can select Performance on Demand.
You wouldn't think that you could bring the car to conditions like this and be spending most of your time sliding around and still have a good time and still feel safe. Look, this is just getting me so excited that it makes you think that maybe James Bond should have died another day in a Volvo.
And the only way to play Bond in this car is to switch off the technology and go for it.
Just off to the supermarket before my next assignment. Oh, well, that was great fun. Pierce Brosnan, move over. This X60R is a real performance car, full of technology, and if it can hack it here, it can hack it anywhere.
Derbyshire's Peak District. You can't beat it, especially when the sun's shining and the birds are a-tweeting. But why wear out your shoe leather? You can appreciate the countryside just as much and get some serious thrills by taking to two wheels instead. Trials riding is one of the world's oldest motorsports. The idea is simple. Pick a tricky off-road route that you'd have difficulty walking along and then ride it. But for once, speed isn't the name of the game. The point of trials riding is to try and complete a course without stopping once or putting your foot down. And believe me, that's really difficult. But this man makes it look easy. Mick Andrews is a trials legend. With a career spanning over 40 years, Mick has won almost every event going. And this is how he made his name. Just watch how he deals with the icy Scottish riverbed.
Here comes Mick on his 250 Yamaha. This is the man they all want to see. He dabs as a precaution and then continues unpenalized. Duncan MacDonald.
Oh, Duncan.
Here's one of our Japanese friends, and the best of Scottish luck to you too. A really good ride by Mick to make him joint first day leader. Not a bad start for his first Scottish on the Yamaha.
And that skill has taken him around the world, where he struck up some famous friendships.
We got to be good friends with Damon Hill, for example, because at one time he had a poster of me in his bedroom.
He had a poster of you?
Yes. I said, oh, James, I had one of him also. King of Spain, we used to ride with. Then he was Prince Juan Carlos. Certain film stars, Steve McQueen, all those guys.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, McQueen loved his bikes, didn't he?
Oh, he did, yeah.
Did you teach him to ride one of these before or after you did that jump in the Great Escape?
I didn't teach him to ride trials bikes, but we went riding together. I don't think he did the jump in the Great Escape.
Really?
No.
Oh, no, you shattered all my illusions.
No, that was someone else.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
You hear that sound cracking? That's a dream being broken.
There's one thing about him, he was capable to do it.
Yeah.
He was capable of doing that.
He was a classy rider, wasn't he?
Very, very good rider.
So you're going to make me into a classy rider. What are the basics of this? You're going to show me?
Well, we're going to try, and I'm going to show you the basics, and after a few minutes, you'll be doing the same thing.
OK.
Hopefully.
Brilliant. Let's give it a go. Now, trials riding is all about balance, skill and control. And as I was about to find out, I didn't have any of those three things.
Really? Come to the outside of the bike. Now the other way, to the outside. Now the other way. OK.
It's only a few little plastic flags. How could this be so difficult?
Now turn. To the right. Body to the left.
But gradually, it started to come together.
Body to the left. That's it.
After the slalom, it was time for the boulders. As ever, Mick made it look easy. I was having trouble getting my front end up.
Go.
Now it's time for the big stuff.
Now you're going to have to lift the bike.
Oh! Maybe not.
see. Now. Yay! Accelerate now, go on.
And the final lesson is hills, how to get up, and more importantly, how to come down. Right, well, we've learned about balance, we've learned about how to do a slalom, how to go up boulders, how to go up slopes and come down slopes. So now it's time to put it all together. I'm going to go up there. I'm only kidding. I'm actually going down there. You ready, Mick?
OK.
Let's go for a ride.
After you.
There's a dark and a troubled side of life, but there's a bright and a sunny side too. Though you meet with the darkness and strife, the sunny side you also may. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side.
Well, I'll tell you something. Trials riding is a fantastic workout. And again, although it's very good for this, it's also pretty good for that too. Where's my jack?
Well, here we are back on the mean streets of London, taking a further in-depth look into this congestion charge system. Do you know that if you're a comparatively poorly paid worker in London, earning about £15,000 a year, this tax will hit your take-home pay to the tune of more than 10%. Can you believe that? Hey, and at the same time, Ken Livingstone, the Mayor of London, well, he won't be paying the charge because he uses minicabs, licensed minicabs, and they're exempt. Oh, and John Prescott, the godfather of congestion charging, he came up with the idea in the first place. He won't have to pay either because he's got a ministerial limo. Hypocrisy or what?
And it's the sort of hypocrisy that could make drivers angry enough to try and dodge the charge illegally. There'll be a rise in number plate fraud for a start, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
It may well be the case that somebody is getting round the charge by buying a car or acquiring a car, and guess what? Registering it in your name. That means you get the bill, you get the fines. It's going to happen. You've been warned. Well, this might be the blackest day for many a year for the average motorist, but it's going to be weeks, possibly even years, before we can truly decide whether the congestion charge scheme is a success or not. In the meantime, we're going to be looking very closely at where the money goes, and more importantly, we're going to be keeping a very close eye on Ken Livingstone, the man who put the con into congestion.
That's it for this programme, but in the next show, Pulling Power gets an exclusive first drive of the year's most eagerly awaited sports car. We give our verdict on the new Smart Roadster. Ready?
You make me love you, baby. With a little love.
The ultimate night for music. The Brits, Thursday at 8 on ITV1.